Welcome, and thrice welcome to another Whiskey Review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me. Always good to have you. We're here for review number 152, in which we're still ruffling around in my cabinets looking at some miscellaneous malts because there's nowhere else to put them. So this time we're looking at Loch Lomond. We're back in Scotland. We're looking at Loch Lomond. I am a bit of a Loch Lomond fanboy. I have said so before. And this time we're looking at the Open Special, this year's Open Special, 2022's Open Special, and it being the 150th British Open. So this one, they release these every year, and this one for the 150th. Loch Lomond sponsored the British Open and golf, obviously, and this is this year's edition. Now, what did I do? What I do whenever I'm reviewing Loch Lomond, I do what I always do. I reach out to Master Blender at Loch Lomond, Michael Henry, or as we in the business know him, Michael Henry. So Michael, always, as always, the true gent that he is, came back with all the info. Now, I was going to try to get this in my head. I tried to get this in my head as to what Michael had told me about this bottling, because he's so open about what goes on, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. But I just couldn't get it. Couldn't get it to stay in here. So you know what I've done? It's all on here. The actual message that Michael wrote me. So I'm going to read it to you, because it's the easiest way for me to do it. So this is not the basic facts, and this is what I love about what Michael's doing here, and that it's just so open. It's not the basic facts. This is the full facts on what is going on in this bottle. Okay, 87% unpeated spirit from straight neck stills at 8 to 10 years old, 8% swan neck still spirit, 12 years old, and 5% heavily peated straight neck still spirit, 5 years old, all matured in American oak, mostly second fill bourbon. They then use partial finish in red Bordeaux wine casks, 30% of the overall liquid. Of the 30%, 20% was finished for 3 years, 10% for 6 months. The red Bordeaux or claret was a link to the claret jug, so that was the reasoning behind the claret this time round. Bottled at 46%, yes, says that. Non-chill filtered, tells you that in the bottle. There is colour added. They admit that. Loch Lomond generally do. Not always, but generally. An annual release, as I said, rather than a limited release of 40,000 bottles in this here. Although, as he says, a lot less now since the Open, because it was selling like hotcakes, I believe. And I think, I could be wrong, but I believe the website's actually sold out on it. So this one, I've been a fan of all the Open specials. I don't think I've had a bad one, because they're always a wee bit different. And this time, as Michael said, claret jug, bit of claret involved here. So let's get stuck in. I have also said that I don't mind a wine finish. I know some people aren't fans. I do like a wine finish. Rich, slightly perfumed initially. There's a slight tobacco-y note, and even a tinge, not an off-putting tinge, but a very slight tinge of diluted chlorine, like a swimming pool. Very, very slight, but not off-putting. Chocolate raisins and digestive biscuit. The red wine finish, that wine finish on it is noticeable. It's actually quite noticeable, but not overpowering, and actually sort of represents as strawberries and probably red apple. This is nice stuff. It's a good nose. Straight away, a good nose. It's a slightly sharp, sweet and sour arrival. Instant thoughts about this. Genuinely, instant thoughts are about how clean it is. This is very clean, and I'll get back to that. I will get back to that. Rich, like the nose, with darker, sweeter undertones. There's honey, more of that strawberry and biscuit. There's a great, slightly savoury heat. Yeah. It is clean. It coats well without being claggy. So there is a strawberry, definitely. And even that red apple, I think, that was showing up in the nose, shows up in the palate. The heat is definitely there, but that heat leads into, for me, what makes this whiskey is a lot of what's going on in the finish. Because it's sort of medium length, but an awful lot of that sweetness and etc. goes on. The heat's definitely still there, but unlike a lot of red wine finishes, and I don't know whether it's because of that bit of footering about with a shorter periods and blending, mixing through, etc. that they've done, it doesn't dry. This does not dry in any means. It's not unctuously mouth-watering or anything like that there, but it's just what it is clean, extremely clean. This leaves a lovely, like, it's almost like a minty, fresh cleanliness on the palate. And I would suggest, because there is 5%, he did say there's 5% heavily peated malt in there, and there is a very slight smokiness as well. Going to add some water. It can take the water, definitely. Give it time to sell. Give it more time than I'm giving it here. It is good stuff. That I know. Not necessarily right now, but I know that it gets fresher, it gets brighter, more citrusy. That tobacco-y note that I mentioned earlier on shows up even more. And it's just really fruity, rich red fruit. Once again, give it a chance to settle. And I know that this goes more fruity, a slight bitterness of it. Like a Jolly Rancher watermelon flavour. There's this edition's sweet shop entry. Finish remains clean, remains sort of medium length, that water takes a bit of the heat out of it. So look, this is good. I can understand why this was selling so well at the open, because it's good whiskey. 46% non-chill filtered. Yes, a little colour added, but you wouldn't know it. It certainly doesn't. Where colour would sometimes, if it's been overdone, would affect the finish, it certainly hasn't affected it here. Because this is one of the best finished whiskies I've had in a long time. It's so, and that mintiness that I was saying about earlier almost turns into a citrus then, with the addition of that water. Yeah, very nice, very nice. And I can't thank Michael enough for all the information, as always. This hasn't changed my mind in any way, shape or form. I still like Loch Lomond. I liked them before. You know, they can't do an awful lot wrong in my eyes. I know that's just me, it's just personal opinion, but that's just the way it is. So let's just move on from that, shall we? Yes, if you like this, then let me offer this up to you. I struggled with this one. I've said before, I do like wine, not all of them, but most wine finished whiskies I do quite like. I had to search my cabinets quite deep because I have a few wine finished, but they just didn't remind me of this character. And then I found one that I'm going to offer up to you. And I'll not blether on, I'll just offer it up to you. It's this, the Glenallachie 13-year-old. This is the Rioja finished Glenallachie. Now, there's no denying that these two are very different, but they're also similar in ways. They're similar in ways that something very simple, that when you take the cork off this and put your nose in the bottle, it smells like red wine. It doesn't smell like whiskey, it smells like red wine. And I noticed the same about this. Different red wines, rich Merlot, say, and Rioja, it does actually smell like red wine. Even though this is claret, you get that red wine punch initially. And it's only whenever you actually get this in the glass and give it a chance to open up that the wininess then turns down and the whiskey, and it just becomes a finish again, but a good, well-balanced finish. Of the two of them, well, actually, I was going to say of the two of them, which would I prefer? Well, they're different characters. They are different characters. But if you like, say, here's an example for you. You've been to the Open and you bought a bottle of this. You're new to whiskey. You liked it. Where do you go next? Well, that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm offering up to you. I'm saying that maybe look down the path of this here. This was £45, the Loch Lomond, which I think is just the RRP for it. So it's pretty much around that price, no matter where you get it. This Glenallachie was probably a bit more expensive, but then again, it does come with an age statement, and it's probably all natural. Probably all. I would imagine that it's naturally presented. So different characters, but yes, if it's wine finishes you're looking for and you're looking something, a bit of a wine, bit of difference. If you like the Loch Lomond, if you're sort of new to this game, etc., you bought this on a whim and went, oh, I really like that. I wonder what it is about that's doing it for me. Perhaps it is the wine finish. So I'm going to recommend to you Glenallachie 13-year-old Rioja finish. There. Yeah, a good one. Again, it is a good one. As I said, it would take a lot to put me off Loch Lomond. They're not all great, in my opinion, but I just like them. I do like them. There's a simplicity and a complexity about their whiskey that I like. It's suited to my palate. I think that sums up Loch Lomond well. Some of them really complex, some of them nice and simple. Their cheapest whiskies I like almost as much as their expensive whiskies, so that's just Loch Lomond for me. And I'm not just saying this because I consider Michael Henry a friend. I consider a lot of people in the whiskey industry friends. It's just Loch Lomond. I feel like it's, stop now, Jim, before you dig a hole for yourself. Whew. Right, let's just leave it at that, shall we? Thank you for joining me as always. It is always a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much to my patrons. If you should wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below. I'll be back next time with something slightly different for you. Till then, my friends, here's your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.